Well, good morning. Greetings and salutations to everybody out there in YouTube land. I'm your host once again, Dan Thornton. I want to thank you all for joining us here today on Lions Talk Live. Early morning edition. Hey, coming at you 7 to roughly 8 p.m. every day of the week. If you haven't yet subscribed to Lions Talk Live, please consider doing so. Also, if you would while you're watching the show and if you're enjoying the content, go ahead and hit that thumbs up button. We're trying to make a push to get us to 4,800 subscribers by kickoff Saturday night. So if you can do your part to help out, surely would be thankful and appreciative of that. All right, one last thing before we get into today's show. As most of you probably know, and if you're new to the channel, you probably don't know this, outside of being a coach and a scout, I'm also a YouTuber, and beyond that, I'm also a realtor. So if you're looking for someone to work on your behalf, I've got over 30 years in the industry working on commercial properties, personal properties, secondary homes, vacant land. I mean, you get the gist. Anywhere in the state of Michigan, Upper Peninsula, Lower Peninsula, Detroit, Grand Rapids, Lansing, St. Joe, Niles, Sturgis, home of the last remaining hot and now in existence. Wherever it may be, I've worked there. So give me a call, shoot me a text, 269-998-2384. Let me see if I can work for you to help you save some money on the purchase or sale of your next property. All right, as I suspected, the comment section is alive and awake this morning, so let's not waste any time going through some of the other formalities. Let's just get into it. Brent, good morning, Coach and Duke crew. Good morning to you, my friend. I think Gibbs and J. Mo should get about 15 to 20 touches a game combined. The more chances for us to take it to the house. Thoughts? Yeah, I mean, you've got real playmakers in these two. You've also got elite athleticism in these two. And you guys have heard me talk about it for a while. One of my problems with our defense, for the most part this season, just a lack of athleticism, especially when you're talking about in the front seven. And it's not that these guys aren't athletes. It's just nothing of a high-end athletic skill set. Just God-given abilities out there. Conversely, on the offense, Jameson Williams, I think this is not a spoiler alert, so I apologize if you were not aware of this. There's very few humans on this planet that can do what he can do. He is rare of rare. He is he's Usain Bolt type rare. I mean, that good dude can just go. So why aren't you scheming some things up from a schematic standpoint if I'm the OC to get this guy the ball? I get last year, he's still coming back. He's hurt, he really doesn't have his feet wet. I get earlier in this year, which I'm considering more or less his rookie year. He didn't have some of the nuances of his game developed. You could see he didn't really use his elbows getting in and out of routes, for momentum purposes, excuse me. You could see his footwork was off, but that's no longer the case anymore, and it hasn't been for, I think you could argue, almost 2 months. I mean, he really has evolved. So why aren't we trying to get him the ball, knowing that he is a problem for every defense he faces? That dude catches the ball, somebody's got to be running their butt off. Got the turbo button going, to use a video game cliche, to just keep up with him. Now, conversely, to your point, Brent, when you talk about Gibbs, kind of the same thing. I mean, he might not be J-Mo fast, but this dude is breakaway fast. So I would say this. If I'm Ben Johnson, there is no tomorrow. The Lions have to win half of these remaining games to secure the North, especially with one of those being against Minnesota. I wouldn't be playing around with it anymore. Strike some fear in other defenses and get these guys the ball, especially in space. All right, Robert, Titans signed Bahama off our practice squad. Yeah, they did. And I can only say this. I'm not happy about it, but it makes you wonder who they didn't want to expose by not having Bahama up there, because I thought he played well here in Detroit. Obviously, the Titans did too. All right, Robert, good morning all. Good morning to you too. Hopefully you're having a great one. Michael, what do you got? Greetings and salutations. Morning, Coach. Hope this Saturday we get the Lions that started the season, not the Lions the past weeks. I agree. And I do think, there's something I probably should have put in the thumbnail, and apologies for this, but one of the reasons I think you're seeing Jared Goff's performance go down is correlated to the offensive line's overall health. We've all been aware Jonah Jackson's been hurt for, on and off for about a month now. I think that'd be fair to say. Obviously, Frank the Tank has missed some time, and who knows if he'll even play this weekend. The other part, probably most of us weren't overly aware until a week or so ago. I think we all knew Taylor Decker was hurt. I don't think until recent days most of us knew how hurt he was. And the guy's out there doing what he can, but if you can't bend, especially as a tackle or an O lineman, if you can't, move your body around much because your back is that beat up, that's a difficult spot. I mean, I give the guy nothing but kudos for being out there and trying to gut through it. But we all now also understand why he's been getting beat so much. I know I've made comments that he's starting to show some signs of age and wear issues. A lot of that's going to be related to his back. I was not privy to the fact that his back was in this type of shape that is now being reported. But I feel bad for the guy because he is a warrior. He is Mr. Lion at this point. He's the guy that's been around the longest and gone through the most of the mud in this rebuild process. And I think he can. I mean, all the players can smell the playoffs. All of them can smell the division crown. It's right there. And to be on the verge of not being able to play in the most key moments of the season, I'm sure that's eating at him. And you get him healthy, you get Ragnar healthy. My guess is Jared Goff of the last year and the early part of this year probably starts reemerging just because he's got a lot more time. All right, Robert, what do you got? Time to stop feeling sorry and beat the bejesus out of the opponents. I agree with that. So, yeah, I mean, we all know. I mean, I've already said it once. I'll probably say it a few more times today. You got to go 500 in these last 4 games. Southwest Lion, Brent, the Lions need to make it a goal to get the ball to both JMO and Gibbs at least 5 times per game in open space. Both have elite speed. I agree with you, Southwest, 100%. They are matchup problems. You guys have heard me talk about early in the game, maybe on the very first play every game, I'm probably tossing one deep to Jameson Williams and probably have Khalif Raymond or Josh Reynolds on the other side with Laporta and St. Brown working underneath. Gibbs out of the backfield, creating some matchup issues. The other part we've talked about in the last week or so is where are the crossing routes for this team? We have some elite speed guys, and there's nothing, especially against some of these teams that play so much man against us, there's no sniff of a crossing pattern with these guys with elite speed. I mean, think about this. Have Jameson Williams out as your X receiver and maybe Gibbs motion out of the backfield into one of the slots positions, maybe like a Z receiver, have him cross. If JMO's got a linebacker, if Gibbs has a linebacker on him, I don't care who it is in this league. There is no linebacker in this league that's keeping up with him on a crossing pattern, and especially if he's going right at Jameson Williams. That is a matchup problem for every defense out there. So why isn't it happening? I'll leave that to you guys to debate because I got no clue. All right, Gary, what I got? I fear we're back with LA Goff. Right now, I would say, yeah, if you go by the last month or so, you're probably right with that. You get pressure on them, which, to be fair, the Lions' offensive line at this point probably is not ultimately that dissimilar from the offensive line he had in LA. So, yeah, you're probably seeing the correlation. Goff under pressure. I mean, every NFL quarterback is not good with pressure. It does affect them. Goff, though, is probably a little bit more than the NFL average as far as how much pressure impacts him. So, yes, I would concur with you, Gary. All right, Bill, what do you got? Not happy about losing Bahama? Yeah, I agree. Yeah, that's a bit of a blow, and probably not when they were anticipating, but it happens. You leave somebody exposed, you better hope nobody else wants them. All right, Brent, agreed to Southwest Line. Yeah, me too, man. Booth, good morning. Duke Crew, good morning to you too. Hopefully having a good one. That is, I know I've been meaning to say this to you before, but in your photo, yeah, that's a good one right there. All right, anyways, Detroit, Matt, what do you got? Good morning, everybody. To be honest, I'm not worried about the Broncos, but it's the big game for our conference. Just win and stay healthy. Also, what's your predictions for the next 4 games? Go Lions. I'm going with 500, 2-2 the last 4 games. Yeah, last 4 games. Just got to get one of those wins against Minnesota, and then obviously getting a win Saturday takes some of the pressure off the Cowboys games, and then potentially even the last game of the regular season. All right, Southwest Lion. I've been an advocate of Goff since he joined the Lions, but if he can't throw the deep ball, that's a problem. That makes the offense too predictable. Yeah, and it just anytime you have a shorter field, so I would equate it at this point to Drew Brees. Now, Drew Brees had elite accuracy. He also had some very creative offensive packages to play to his strengths. Accuracy, intermediate routes, things of that sort the deep ball was not his strength, especially in the last, you could probably say, last 3 or 4 years of his career. I mean, the one that really sticks out to me is the last game against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I can remember watching those safeties and go, man, they're just so disrespectful for his arm strength. And maybe it's not disrespectful, it's just they knew he couldn't throw it deep beyond 20, 25 yards. And that really just that killed him in the playoffs as the last few years went by. Goff's kind of falling into that dilemma where the safeties for the other team, they're not even worried about guarding deep. And same with the corners, because they don't feel like, at least the last 2 months or so, I remember watching film. When's the last time you've seen him throw it 40, 30 yards in the air? Not somebody catch it and run it 30, 40 yards, but through the air, that ball's humming 30, 40 yards. I think that's part of the problem they're going to have to address this offseason. Can he still do that? If not, I can only tell you my opinion. There is no way I'd re-sign him. It's just, you're going to shorten the field way too much, and you're seeing what happens if he doesn't have great pass protection. Now you're adding on that, basically what everybody seems to be doing with, spy one or two backers over the middle, taking away those routes, which would affect crossing patterns, and also the corners playing the flats, safeties playing over the top of the corners in case somebody sneaks past them on a shorter but deeper route. So you guys get the gist. All right, Boo, run the ball. Yeah, I agree. Both Gibbs and Montgomery are capable of breaking big. They are. They have proven that this year. Quentin, hey, all, help this man out and press like and sub buttons. Guy is here every dang morning for y'all help his butt out. Appreciate that, man. Hey, hit the subscription button and the like button. Thank you for that. Gary, what do you got? I've been scratching my head with our moves or lack of moves Lions have been doing. They're, especially with AG's presser, I'm going to guess everybody's probably seen that, or a lot of people have. To me, it really reeks of desperation. Some of the things they're talking about and been lamenting, they're trying to figure some things out. They're trying to get some answers. I get they're desperate to do it because, you know what, like we've already talked about, you got to get a couple more wins here, and the North is yours in a home playoff game. So they're kicking that can around, trying to do everything they can to come up with. I was really sad to see Bahama get snatched up, but again, you leave somebody exposed, you have to do it with the idea you believe nobody else is going to sign that guy, and that's the problem. Somebody of his size, his athleticism, he's got some upside if you keep developing him. Especially if you're a team that's probably not going to make the playoffs and you're already planning for next year, why wouldn't you start looking around for parts that maybe can give you a good return next year? All right, Brent, I feel so much better now after AG's press conference. He thinks we're one of the best teams that makes sudden changes, and his plan is to branch less. Yeah, I'm with you on that, man. I guess we'll have to see where he's going with this, because I mean, coaches can say anything, but it's ultimately what you do on the field that matters more. And I'm going to say Branch, I don't think he's elite. I think he's pretty dang good for a rookie. He can obviously still become elite in time, but you're struggling in man coverage, any kind of form of it. You're struggling in zone coverage, any kind of form of it. I'm not sure if I would take one of our more athletic guys out of the secondary with the idea that that's going to improve us. Now, maybe he knows something I'm not seeing. He probably knows a ton more football than I ever will. So I'm going to say this. I'm just got a raised eyebrow on it, but I'm going to give him enough, credit, I guess, where I'll wait and see what happens on the football field before I make any final judgment on him. All right, Southwest Line. The struggles that the Lions have had in the third quarter, I think it's primarily a coaching issue. I would agree. I think it shows a lack of a plan or an ability to adjust in game. This is something I've talked about on the channel for probably over a year now. My only problem with this coaching staff as a whole is their lack of experience. Look at most of the coaches in the league, especially head coaches. They've coached at other levels as head coaches, whether it's NFL or college or even a few of them high school. And that gives you experience. Dan Campbell is 2.5 years into being a head coach. Aaron Glenn is 2.5 years into being a defensive coordinator. Ben Johnson's not even that long into being an offensive coordinator. And to me, the adjustments or lack thereof in game a reflection of lack of experience in those positions. You have to learn how to be there. You have to earn the right to be there. And I'm not sure if any of them have so far. All right, Brett, what do you got? I don't understand that Branch Les comment. What does AG think? I would agree with that. A lot of questions about that this morning. All right, Brent, I don't care what the score is. Just win, baby. Absolutely. Yeah, doesn't matter how it looks. Just do it. Phil, good morning, Phil, by the way. If one is asking all the questions, everyone doesn't get a chance to. Yep. So, yeah, just fire in your questions. You get them, man. Brent was almost comical listening to AG trying to justify why Branch has less snaps than Jacobs. Saying he wants him to focus on the slot position only. Branch is better than Jacobs. Yeah, to be fair, I've been a little surprised that they haven't tried Branch at the outside. Just focusing on one spot, to me, you're slowing down some of these growth and development. That'd be no different than when they were just focused on, for a while, having Jameson Williams only run deep routes, sort of like his college teams. To me, you're really stymieing and not doing justice to that player because their opportunity to grow and develop is impacted. Bit Lady, good morning, Coach. Good morning to you too, or good evening to you. Sorry, I got to remember that. Dawn, AG sounds like my kid's fourth grade coach. Everyone gets playing time at this level. He does seem to have some similarities in his commentary at times. Boo, what do you got? Throw deep more for sure. Still, you should be able to hit JMO on shorter routes just like Gibbs and Damien. Something should break. Yeah, I agree. That's what I was saying with the crossing patterns earlier, as an example. Bit Lady, Jacobs and Kindle to share snaps. Yeah, and with Kindle, I'm probably okay with that just because I do believe he has some, I'm not going to say great man-to-man coverage skills, although compared to the rest of our DBs, he might be great. Southwest, the AG press conference is why I have a little confidence in the ability of our coaches to accurately assess how best to use the talent that we have. We'll see how that pans out. Just Denver's defense scares me a lot. I would get that, man. I mean, they can bring it. They can get after you. I get they gave up 1,000 points to Miami earlier in the year, but since then, give their coaching staff and their players some credit. They've developed and they've changed the culture of that defense. They've made some good adjustments for sure. All right, Gary, teams figured out how to play our offense and defense, and no changes to it to correct it. Yes, I would agree. They've been caught kind of guessing for about a month now what to do on both sides of the ball, and not to beat the dead horse, but again, that's on the coaching. You've got to do some things to make adjustments. So yeah. Anyways, Bit Lady, CD2 back at practice. Good to see. Yeah, and what do you know? Just about what do we say? Like 2 or 3 weeks ago, the cutoff for him. I think the Lions kind of pseudo-imposed to his people. His representation was they needed him back by the Cowboys game. That's 3 weeks away. So it's possible that he could be back for that. Who knows? Maybe even Minnesota. I think really, I know I had it in the thumbnail yesterday, and I think I used one of the quotes from whatever it was in Detroit. That I think Dan Campbell and the staff are just saying one thing. It's going to come down to basically any fear of re-injury. If they're sold on the fact that thing can't re-aggravate itself or injure itself in a easy manner, I mean, you're going to play in the NFL, everything is going to be potential to get injured. Then he's probably back sooner than later. We'll see. All right, Matthew Perry, what do you got? Good morning. O-line is back. We have a solid shot to win this game if the offense clicks. Yes, I would concur. You can open up the run lanes. You can get the passing game going. Get Detroit Goff back, not LA Goff. Then yeah, you've got a real good chance at pulling off the upset here because you beat their defense. I don't think their offense is world beating. The problem, of course, is that they're playing against our defense, which has not looked great. All right, Phil, what do you got? Reading from the book of Dude. I like that. I like that, Phil. I might steal that. Jim, what do you got? Fox and Maben were last week's MVPs. Who do you think gets it this game? I'm going to go with Jameson Williams. What the heck, man? At some point, you got to get this kid used. So I'm going to go with that for now. All right, John Snow. This game will get personal for AG and MCDC. I'd agree with that. Yeah, I mean, MCDC's kind of already stated if if Denver gets a chance to put it on Detroit, they're going to, and he's anticipating that. All right, Southwest, sometimes I wonder if the coordinators actually look at tape of their opponents or what successful teams are doing. It just seems like they're both stuck in a rut. I think they're both grasping for answers that they don't easily have. And to me, that's part of the problem with a coach. The more experience you get as a coach, the easier it is to come up with some solutions. All right, Brett, what do you got? Using one of our best defensive players less is a ridiculous plan. If it in regards to the secondary, yeah, I would probably concur with that wholeheartedly. Franz, what do you got? Good morning, greetings and salutations from Germany. Well, good evening, late afternoon for you too. Hopefully you're having a good one there. I don't exactly know your time there, so I'm guessing a little bit. Phil, Peyton is a beast of a coach. He will outcoach Dan. I would agree that, yeah, his experience is far superseding MCDC, and hopefully MCDC can come up with a few counter punches, though. All right, Southwest line, Brent, using one of our best players less is just flat out stupid. Compound that with leaving our biggest liability on the same side of the field, making it easy for opponents to exploit it. Yeah, I think the Jerry Jacobs, island theory is probably not a great idea. Leaving him on an island on just one side of the field. Doug, what do you got? Phil, I fear you are right on that, correct? All right, Bet Lady, if he has not missed a tackle in over 176 snaps, AMD, according to PFF, he is quite decent in coverage too. I hope he gets more chances. Yeah, and it was almost on cue. I know we were talking about that with a bunch of us in the chat last week before the Bears game. And what do you know? If he was out there on obvious passing downs, replacing Tracy Walker. So kudos for them to maybe listening to you guys. So maybe they're watching the show. Who knows? If you guys are watching the show, Lions coaching staff, don't be afraid to hit the subscribe button and leave a thumbs up, please. All right, Mile Marker. Good morning, Coach. What about this odd schedule coming? Sat Sunday. Is that a stressor? With it being just one day earlier, I wouldn't think it would be a huge impact. I mean, really, you get to Friday, it's all dress rehearsals anyways, before you get on a plane. So in regards to our team, I mean, really, the only difference is whatever, it ends up mathematically being a 15-hour window or something like that. So technically, could you still do anything you would normally do on a Saturday earlier in the day? Yeah, and you're just going to go out and play at night. So, I mean, like I said, it costs you about 15 hours of rest or whatever. But the other side of that is now you get an extra day of rest or recuperation or preparation for the following Sunday. So, I mean, take the good with the bad, but I don't think it's, with it being Saturday night and such, I don't think it's a huge thing. All right, T-Born, I got greetings and salutations. Same to you, Phil. Peyton was suspended for putting bounties on players' heads. Yeah, him and Williams, Greg Williams, the defense coordinator. Yeah, they were. Man, you're going back a bit there. That's got to be 10 plus years ago, somewhere around there. So don't hold me quite to that, but yeah, right around there. Mike, what do you got? Howdy, damn Lions Phil. Same to you. Hopefully, you're having a good morning, buddy. Eduardo, if we have our full O-line ready to go, we should be fine for Saturday. It would be a big plus. Again, just hoping they can do everything they can for Taylor Deckard and his back. Frank Ragnow obviously still recovering. But this time of the year, let's also be fair. Every player and every team, unless you're just a non-contact position, they've all been through it. Those bodies are pretty beat up. All right, Selfless Line, Bit Lady. That I took Lions coaching this long to realize that Iffy would be better in pass coverage than Walker is another example of why I have little confidence in their ability to assess talent. There's probably a whole lot of truth to that in there, Southwest. But, hey, better late than never, I guess. All right, Brent, what do you got? Sad to say, I agree with Phil. Sean Payton might make us look bad for sure. That's probably a truth statement right there. Southwest, make Denver defend the entire field. Don't be so dang predictable. I would concur. Yes, if when you're predictable, you really help out the defense. Bit Lady, I knew what would get Southwest going. Yes, you are hitting some buttons here. You know me well. I would agree. Eduardo, Denver is literally the worst team in run defense. I don't want to see Goff throwing more than 25 times. Hey, maybe we could just keep him to like 3 play action passes a quarter if we're running it that well. But Yeah, I don't think that's going to happen. But anyways, I can dream. All right, Michael, throw all the stats out the window and play hard, aggressive football with grit. I would like that very much. All right, Southwest, Eduardo, you're right, but the fact that they don't know the Lions are throwing the ball deep, it will give them the ability to load up and in the box. Yeah, and that's what teams are doing. They're overplaying the line. They're putting a lot of pressure to stop that running game and the intermediate passes. Waddle, hi, and Waddle killed Denver. We need Hill and Waddle killed Denver. We need Jalen to just start running around, and Goff needs to let it rip. Let it rip, Tater Chip. I agree. He's got to just can't worry about missing something. You got to go after it. Brent, if I see Jameson Sutton with no safety help, I'm going to lose it. Yeah, that's the problem. Is I don't know if he. I don't know, man. We'll see what they come up with. All right, Gary, Lions are favored by over Denver. That's a stretch. You know, normally I would say Vegas has got a pretty good feel for games. That's why they make all that money. But with the Lions for the last 2 years, sometimes I wonder because they just seem so over the place with where they're going and with the lines. But I'm just hoping that Vegas is right on this one. All right, Southwest Brent, they have enough players on the roster where I don't think Jacobs should even play. His confidence is shot. Yeah, I guess the problem is you got to believe that the coaches, you got to believe at least, the coaches can look at him and say, hey, he's clearly better than, option A, B, or C. Maybe that's not the case, though. Wardo, they have loaded up the box on most teams and still can't defend the run. Yes, yeah. I knew where you were going with that, man. All right, Phil, could Goff have a dead arm? The whole team seems gassed. Is it possible? Absolutely, man. I think, and I could be way wrong with this, so take it with a grain of salt. I think the biggest problem affecting Goff is the offensive line. Once he started getting hits against the first game against Chicago, it started rattling him. I get there's other factors in play at that point with the contract break off and yada, yada, some other stuff. With that being said, though, they got to dial up some shots and get him in practice to start trusting that offensive line again and taking some of those deep shots because that would change how teams play you significantly. But to your point, Phil, could his arm have lost some gas in it or some juice? Absolutely. It's just without seeing him throw in practice or in a game that anything longer than 15 yards. I guess he did have one last week. It was like 25 yards or something like that. But it's just very rare that he's doing it. And I know you guys have commented on it a billion times in the chat. Whenever he throws to Jameson Williams last year or this year, those things are underthrown. I mean, you have to constantly see JMO stop. And at this length of time, those two should have some familiarity enough where he sees JMO going deep. Just throw that thing as far as you can and let him try to run to it. And the fact that isn't happening could be a real tell that maybe Goff's arm isn't what it once was. Eduardo, they have given up the second most yards to a tight end, Laporta time. Yeah, Laporta in the running game could do pretty well this Saturday night. All right, Tess, good morning, everyone. Good morning to you, too. Brent, I'm for pounding the rock, but you have to take deep shots to get the defense to back off. I would agree. Ozzy Osbourne, we got good morning, Duke crew. I can't believe the Lions have let Bohanna go to the Titans. We needed him and don't know what AG is doing with his defense. The only thing I can think of with that is they're just going to play Bugs the rest of the way here, keep him up there, and they probably made a determination that they'd rather keep Bugs than a Bohanna. I mean, they might have been totally caught off guard with the Titans coming after him. Maybe it's a tell, too, that Broderick Martin is getting closer to getting significant playing time. That's also a factor. I'm just thinking, yeah, they were really caught with their pants down on the Titans coming after them. All right, Eduardo, there are no excuses for Saturday. We are the better team. If we want to do anything in January, you need to dispose of teams like Denver. I would agree with that. Yeah, prove your worth, man. Come out and win a game more than the last second win. To be fair, I'll take another last second win. All right, is the True Lions are favored by a touchdown? That's crazy. Yeah, it caught me off guard. I thought we'd be maybe like 3.5 point favorites at home, but I'm not Vegas. All right, Clayton Life, what do you got? Grand Rising Coach, same to you. Hopefully you're having a very good one, a good morning. All right, mile marker, guys, are you Why you saturate the chat? Let's share. It's one pride. Yep. Just come on in when you can. Everybody. I'll try to get through these as quick as I can, man. One funky. Good morning, all. Gary, how many more? Bad games by Goff before he's benched. Whew, I don't know, man, but I guess that's just how well do they feel Teddy Two Gloves will do? I guess that would be the good question. So Southwest, what do you got, Brent? I think the key to both of these coordinators needs to bring some creativity to the table. The lines are just becoming too predictable. I agree. Phil, you worked at Hot Now. I did not, but I used to enjoy it a lot in high school. How about that? I will even say this, during COVID, when everything was shut down, I did drive to Sturgis a couple times just to get Hot Now, just because I knew it was the last remaining one. And hey, we're all trying to kill time at that point, right? All right, Nick, what do you got? Maybe Ben Johnson has been holding out on the deep ball for when they least suspect it. I think there will be some real speed on the field Saturday night. I'm hoping, man, because the rest of the games this year are indoors. So why not use it? Wardo, we need to spread out Denver with Jamon Gibbs and let them run. Agreed. Brett, agreed. Southwest line. I have faith that Ben Johnson can be more creative, but not an AG. Super Bowl or bust. Donkey Kong is here to save the day. Just win, baby. Cody, I'm a new subscriber. Well, thanks for that, man, and welcome to the chat, man. Jump on in, throw some questions out there or some thoughts. Southwest line, when a defense knows what they will have to defend 20 yards down the field, that they don't have to defend it no further, that makes it much tougher on the short and intermediate routes. Yeah, I agree with that. Yeah, 1,000%. Nick, I don't like how conservative they've been, but holding out could keep defenses from figuring us out sooner before the playoffs. Agreed. Khalees Life, what do you got? Brad Holmes put the defense in the position, passing up on picks in the draft. The Lions looking forward to 2024. I do think there's a lot of truth to that, man, because you look at how they've structured the drafts, where they focus some things. I mean, yeah, I have no doubt they were hoping some of the defensive line picks would pan out better than they have. They just haven't. Joshua Pascal, he's not horrible. He's just not. He's not great or anything. He's kind of meh. Ali McNeil has been good. Not elite, but good. Who is it? Oh gosh, I'm trying to think. Levi Onwuzurike. Hey, his back it's never cut. His back is done. So unfortunately, you took a shot to try to get great return on value on an injured guy. And I think we can all agree these injured moves in free agency and then the draft probably haven't worked as well as anybody had hoped, or even half of what they'd hoped. It is what it is. But yeah, I do think this offseason in the free agency and in the draft, we're probably going to see a whole lot of draft selections. Eduardo, Denver and Minnesota played lots of man-to-man, so we need to use our speed against them. Agreed. And, I will say, and I've said it before to you guys, I think we really struggle with players who can get open effectively against man-to-man. Some of that's on a lack of overall athleticism. Some of it, though, is also scheming. I know this. If you've been a Lions fan for any length of time, say beyond the last 3 or 4 years, you've seen when we played man-to-man, team after team after team run short crossers, or deep ends against us. And you know what? It's just, if you don't have great corners, it's tough to defend. The other part of it is if you have guys with lots of speed, and if that speed really supersedes the people defending them, guys are just running away from those defenders. So perhaps Saturday and then the following week, we'll see some of these fairly basic route concepts being used. Rick from Michigan, what do you got? Good morning from California. Good morning to you too. And yeah, real early morning for you. Southwest, stay in your lanes, not over pursuing, disguising, loading the box, varying who you blitz. None of these things are talent issues. It has everything to do with coaching. There's a lot of truth to that. Don, hit the open man. Don't turn the ball over. Hit Wilson. Walk out with a win. I like it. Keep it pure, man. Southwest, don't these coaches look at all the 22 films after games? I can't imagine that JMO isn't getting open frequently. I know when I'm watching it, he's getting open enough where we don't hit him that I would say it's got to start being a point of emphasis in coaching meetings. All right, Dave, what do you got? Greetings and salutations. Do you think Goff may be hurting from some of these hits he's been taking? His accuracy is a little suspicious. yeah, he could definitely be getting a physical impact from some of the things they've gone through. The other part is I think there's more probably on top of the cumulative hits, an emotional component, just in his head because he's been getting lit up so much the last few weeks. Um, he's probably wanting to get rid of the ball a little bit faster than he should, but that's what happens when you let a quarterback get hit often, which he has. All right, what do you got? Hater's House. Still love that name, man. Don't turn the ball over, and we will win. I like it. Duncan, good morning, Don, Dan, and fans. Just win, baby. Just win. I think that's what we can all go for. Cody, JMO has some speed. Yes, he does. And he's got speed to burn. Eduardo, the deep shots to JMO need to stop being on third downs deep, them to first and second down. Yeah, and not just in the fourth quarter when you're down, whatever amount of points. Make that a part of your regular offense because I know we've all talked about it. Now the defense has to defend the whole field. All right, Duncan, Detroit Lions podcast has a great breakdown of how and why AG is not great. I might have to listen to that on the way to the cave for the morning dew. Southwest Lion, it's like Apollo Creed said to Rocky in Rocky 3. There is no tomorrow. There is no tomorrow. At this point, yeah, you're 100% right. You got to go out there and you got to win these moments. All right, Cody, he runs a 4.2 speed. Yes, he does. He's incredibly fast. Don, I guarantee Max Crosby or Brian Burns can be had for the right price. We got to make a game-changing move. Seriously, can't keep being conservative. I would agree. Man, what would I be willing to give up for either one of them? I don't know. I'll worry about it for the offseason, but I agree. Both could be highly impactful for us. All right, Steve, my frustration with being a Lions fan for 55 years is that we are hostages to injuries and bad refs. Now we finally have a good GM, and people blame him, not the injuries. Yeah, the injuries, especially for the defense, have really changed things. I mean, we didn't have elite defenders to begin with, but to your point, C.J. Gardner-Johnson instead of Tracy Walker, your coverage schemes are a whole lot different. Emmanuel Mosley versus Jerry Jacobs, kind of the same point. Houston, I don't think he's great in pass coverage. I don't think he's bad. He's probably on par with what we have out of our backers, but he is elite at getting to the quarterback, which would have helped exponentially this year. So I think you got some fair points there. And then obviously Aleem McNeil, it's just another layer where now you're just digging into depth, and the guy replacing him, while maybe not bad, isn't quite the same as the guy he's now replacing. All right, one funky. I don't think we have ran the scissors concept this year. No, we have not. At least not that I can think of. All right, do or die. What do you got? Good morning, crew. I did some film homework. Jared Goff was in the top 5 QBs throwing the deepest passes 2 years in a row with Rams. Could it be JMO has missed all of the time? I can only tell you what I see. And, there early in the season, there were some routes where you could see they weren't on the same page. Goff was clearly anticipating he was going, here versus there. I get that part. But what I don't get is how every time you throw to this kid, it is underthrown. That, to me, isn't, hey, you're supposed to be here or there. You're throwing where he's at. You're just throwing 5 yards behind him. And to me, that's the problem. All right, Don, we got Donkey beat Denver or bust. Oh, boy. Here we go. Ozzy Osbourne, what do you think about Minnesota's new quarterback? He'll be easier to hit, but I do think he does have a lot more accuracy at this point. Dobbs, when he came in, man, he looked like just a guy revitalized. I mean, he was improvising and doing so well with things. But I think what happens, you guys have heard me say a lot, there's no such thing as a sophomore slump. Everybody just has film on you. And I do think that's basically what affects Dobbs. Now, he might end up being the quarterback when we play them. I don't know. But what I can tell you is the little I've watched of some of his games, you can see defensive coordinators start figuring out his preferred routes, taking away his first and second read, and that's where he has struggled. He might grow out of that where now he easily progresses and pre-snap reads where where basically the victories are for him in the throwing, there are probabilities. But if you're a quarterback and teams figure out that you can only get through 1 or 2 reads before you start panicking or getting happy feet, which seems to be the case with him, then you're in a bad spot. The new guy, yeah, I think they're just doing it out of desperation because, hey, they didn't leave got Dobbs in there for whatever, it's been 2 months now because they thought the other kid was better. It's just Dobbs has proven he's not the answer. So now, hey, we can't just keep doing the same thing. We got to get somebody out there and pray he does better. All right, Haters House. I blame J-Mo for running too fast for Goff. Yeah, there's probably a lot of truth to that, but Goff's going to have to figure out how to throw deeper. All right, Don, I can't watch anything similar to this defense next year. I'm praying we won't have to. All right, Southwest, I wouldn't be surprised to see Minnesota go back to Dobbs against the Lions, especially if Mullen struggles against Cincinnati. Yeah, I'm hoping Cincinnati wins, but Mullen does well just for that point. But if I'm Minnesota, though, if there's not a huge advantage one or the other, knowing how much the Lions struggle with mobile quarterbacks, I'm probably going to say, hey, it's a game time decision. I'm deciding to put him in. When is CJ coming back? He's, rejoined the team. It's just, I think they're going to go real cautious with him. Now, what aspects he's doing with practice or anything like that, I'd be lying if I told you otherwise, but I don't know exactly. I'm hoping we get some more information today or later in this week. If we get him as an actual participant in practices, that's a big tell that he's probably going to be back in the next week or two. I mean, relatively soon. Let's go with that. I'm really hoping, based on some of yesterday's commentaries, that maybe he's an outside shot for the Minnesota game, the first Minnesota game. But we're going to have to wait and see, man. All right, now what do you got? Teams are like shut down the middle of the field with Laporta and St. Brown, we win. Yeah, I would say, yeah. Based on the last month, that's exactly what everybody's doing. All right, Doug Kong. Don, that's ironic since we traded up to 12 to draft a wide receiver to open the middle of the field. Yep. You got to use them, though. I mean, just because you got them, people figure out if you're not going to use them. Don, Donkey, yep, it's showing. Yes. Haters House. Denver has the worst rushing defense. Run the dang ball. I believe we will. Southwest, it's a failure of Ben Johnson that he hasn't been able to come up with schemes to get Gibbs and J-Mo open downfield. They're both matchup nightmares. I agree. Gun Guy, Goff has better numbers than Mahomes. Y'all hooker stinks. Need help. Yes. Michael Jordan, good morning, Coach Dan, the Lions faithful. Finally, Vildor is going to take that terrible corner out of the game. He might not be out, but he might not be the number 2 corner anymore. How about that? Don Burr, Southwest Lion QB limitations, huh? It could be. The other thing, real quick, to go back to Jordan, I'm going to say this, man. If Vildor gets a pick or anything like that and takes it to the house, yeah, he will be legendary status in this town. And that's too bad because Jacobs did start the season off pretty good. But obviously, I mean, he does have limitations out there. He's doing the best he can, I'm sure. But, again, he was never meant to be the number 2 corner. Eduardo, I'd rather us attempt new things than not. Now, if we can only do that offense with the speed we have, yeah, we got it. I can't believe it's taken this long to incorporate some of these speed players because they, especially in a dome field and on pseudo turf, that's a problem for most other teams. But you got to allow them to do it, though. One funky Donkey. The problem is no one is scared of Goff taking the deep shot, so it doesn't matter if you got a guy that can take the top off. Yeah, you got to be able to throw it and hit it. Southwest, you can have Gibbs as a blocker just for a second, and then he comes out of the backfield. Yeah, like a delayed screen or something like that, or a delayed route, either in the flat or in the middle of the field. With the delay, he should be open. I would agree with that. Sam, what do you got? When is John Scott going to receive the same scrutiny as AG? The DL is not good, but all on AG. No, John Scott has more to do with these failures. I think I mentioned it in the chat, maybe not in a day or two, but I believe you get to the offseason, yeah, you're probably going to see some changes in the staff, especially along that line. Branch is our best cover corner, zone, or man. He could be pretty dang close on that. Yeah, you might be right, him or Sutton. All right, Alan, Goff can throw the deep ball, but as you know, the line has to protect it for it to develop. It hasn't been doing as good a job as late. I think Goff needs to be extended. A lot of teams would love to have him. They might, man. I mean, if the line really starts getting somewhat healthy and right, and they figure out some of the rot concepts that they need to kind of alter going down the stretch here, maybe we get back to Detroit Goff versus LA Goff. And, yeah, that might happen. They might extend him. I personally think they're going to wait till see how next year plays out. The preseason, they're going to want to see how Hooker does, what they can assess with that, because it is a business. And if you think Hooker come next year, and I'm not saying this is going to happen, I'm just saying what I'm thinking. If Hooker is anywhere near Goff in their eyes, you're probably rolling for a few years with him on a rookie contract versus retaining Goff at 40 to 50 million a year, because that's just 40 to 50 million almost you can spend on other components for the team for the next several years. All right, Iceberg, we got Bear King. Yeah, you are the king of bears. And your team, hey, right now, you got the most recent wins. You got the bragging rights. All right, Michael Jordan Branch is the number one PFF corner on our team, ranked 31st in the league. It's the other side that gives up a million yards and literally ranks 88th and 89th out of corners in the NFL. This is true. Southwest Lions had to know somebody was going to take Bahama. He put together 3 games worth of decent play, and maybe they wanted to leave their options open and felt like they had enough at the position. Yeah, I think there's the last part of that statement. I think there's a lot of truth to that. I don't think they saw, where he was a ton different than maybe some of their other options. That's the only thing I can assess. All right, what do we got? Hater's house. Goff can't even throw a sprout, let alone a deep pass. Lately, there's been a lot of truth to his lack of spirals. All right, this sounds familiar to Goff in LA. Geez, he thrived early on. Teams figured his weaknesses, out-traded him for a guy with a rocket arm, and a playbook exposes in LA again. Yeah, and the playbook exposed. Yeah, I agree. All right, Jesse, good morning, all. Did you see Ben Johnson? Corny excuse about not getting J-Mo the ball. It's ridiculous. Yeah, he's facing some stuff here. Michael Jordan, James can't stop run or is a big ass branch. That's why, but Jacobs is getting sad. Yes, he is. Browski, yeah, Bears 28, Lions 13. It happens, man. Of course, I did not see any commentary out of you. I think it was the prior 3 or so games. I do remember, what was it, a pick 6 for a touchdown to give a win? You kind of get the gist, man. But you are right. The last game you guys did win. I would add Hooker to the 53-man roster. You just never know. An emergency situation might need him. Look at San Fran last year. Agreed. Browski, if you're scared by a dog. Scared of? I guess maybe I missed that part. Apologies. Don, Lions 9-4. First in the division. Bears 5-8. Bottom. Next topic. Yes, I would concur. A lot of teams lose, and apparently the Bears have lost 8 times, where the Lions have lost 4 times. That would, to me, be like you've lost twice as many times. So there is that. Nathan, morning, Duke crew. Let's go, Lions. Good morning to you, too. Rick from Michigan could use Hooker like Hill is used in New Orleans. To mix up, I would agree. That would probably be okay. Brent, if Goff is getting rushed early, we hope we keep somebody extra in to give him more time. Goff with time is deadly. Yeah, he can be, 100%. Greens is teacher. Greens is sanitation coach. How do you do? I like green mornings to. I like green mornings to you and the crew. Thank you for that very much. Iceberg, Goff has no chance. He might not. Southwest Jesse, it's a failure. Ben Johnson, Goff, not to come up with ways to get Jameson the ball in space. No one can cover him. I would concur. Don Fields auditioning for another team. That is a real possibility, I think. Jesse, why don't have Gilmore give Gilmore a shot at corner? Can't be any worse than Jacobs. I've been surprised that they haven't put him on the field a bit. He's constantly inactive, and there's got to be a reason why you're keeping him and not exposing him to the practice squad. So I don't know. It is a great question. One funky, don't use Hooker like Hill. It's through needs to disappear. Yeah. His thought through needs, to disappear. So J1. All right. J1 Bear. All right. I'll go with that, Iceberg. Donkey Kong. Oh, boy. I'm moving on from that one. Jesse. I would give Gilmore, Chase, Lucas, Dorsey, Vildor all snaps to the position over Jacobs. Boy, Jacobs has lost some favor in the Lions faithful. All right, a couple more here. Big M, at Donbury, I agree. We are seeing the reason LA was so anxious to let Goff go. Goff handcuffs and limits the offensive play calling. He lacks mobility and arm strength, actually a turnover machine. T-Chair, with Ragnar now back, I hope we see a dominant run game, which will set up play action and a better offense. Defense could be better without Jacobs and with Bruce Irvin. Happy do 30. Cheers. Yeah, with Irvin, it'll be good to see him back. Maybe some more athleticism, better coverage skills. I mean, we've all talked about Vildor and Iffy playing more. Jalen Reeves-Maben, on certain situations. So maybe they are addressing some things here. Hooker package would be amazing. Yes, Don Kong, I concur. Who doesn't want a package of hookers? Hooker package would put us over the top. I just don't know if he'd be ready yet, man. I mean, he's only been back a couple weeks. I don't know if we'll see him this year. Big M, yep, Stafford won a Super Bowl. He did. I would also say this, though. Outside of 1 year in L.A., take that away. What has he done in L.A. or Detroit? And that's the biggest problem I have with him. Now, we say if Goff doesn't have a lot of elite talent around him, he's not great. Stafford hasn't done anything without a lot of elite talent. So as soon as, who's the corner who's now in Miami? As soon as he left, Von Miller left, their left tackle retired. I'm going to say this. I like Stafford. I like him a lot. But what has he done since that 1 year? I don't want a package for Hooker. How about build a system for him? I think that could be a potential thing down in the next offseason. Brent Hooker in a Wildcat package. I don't know if I'd go out of my way to risk him getting hit. I mean, he's just getting back from knee injury and recuperation from the ACL. I would try to keep him as clean as possible. All right, Ed, good morning, Coach. This is more than a must-win. Another bad loss could lose the locker room. Finger pointing could start. Lions win big. I'm hoping you're right. All right, Iceberg, start Hooker Sunday. Don, the do man. Yeah, Dan, the do man. I don't think he'd be ready yet, man. I want to be fair to him and just say, you're going to have to probably give him an off season to really get him ready. Maybe the last game of the regular season, if it has no meaning, you give him a half or something, but you probably have to be very careful what you expose him to, because you don't want to damage the psyche, you don't want to damage the promise, and you don't want him taking any shots if you can at all prevent it. Silver Surfer, good to see you, buddy. Hello, Coach. Too bad about Bohanna. Yeah, it is, but you left him on the practice squad. You're hoping nobody was going to take him. Big M, Dunk Kong, I agree, probably won't see that this year due to the fact the Lions like to slow play their players into the lineup, hopefully next year. Yeah, I think there's a big chance for next year. All right, one funky Hooker is a QB. QBs don't run Wildcat. You will use Wildcat when you don't have a QB. There's truth to that. Gun Guy Hooker would lead us to a top 10 draft pick. I don't know if we can still do that. But maybe. Don, put Badgett in Sunday, then Fields doesn't get sacked 9 times like before. That could also happen. All right, Doug Kong, yeah, build a system for Hooker, but in the meantime, getting him out there a few snaps, toss a few bombs, maybe an RPO. There could be something for that. John, what do you got? Me and Phil need to compare telecasters someday. You guys should do that, man. Southwest, if the Lions win the division in a playoff game, it's only going to be because the coaches gain an infinity for which they have not gained yet. More often than not, they're just being outcoached. Yeah, they show their lack of experience at times. I would say probably definitely true there. All right, Don, totally disagree. We're predictable enough. Yeah, at times we definitely are. Badging, yeah, strength. All right, one funky. Running a heavy RPO system with Hooker would work. It might, man, but I don't think they'll do it this year, but maybe next year. Dr. Troy, did Field run the Wildcat last week? Did he? I actually can't remember. Doc Kong, Big M. Slow play the rookies is an understatement. It's borderline pathetic. Yes. Badgett, Goff, Duck Master. Duck Master Goff. All right. Silver Surfer. It is always the same story. It is 6 years that the Lions have missed something: talent, athleticism, coaching, managing, ownership. I'm really already back to enjoy a single victory. Well, let's hope we get one for you Saturday night. Don Badgett, a.k.a. clip holder. It is correct. He was too good for the Lions. Yeah, he might be. Gun guy Goff is playing better than Mahomes, and fans still want him to go on. That's part of any fan base for the most part. Not every fan base, but for a lot of them. We got Duncan, totally agreed. It's absurd how they handle talent. Agreed. Dr. Troy, Goff is an average QB at best. He does need some things to go his way. Gun guy, top 10, lock it up. All right. Eduardo, I would much rather Goff throw an INT because he was being aggressive targeting a player deep than him throwing a pick within 10 yards. I could live with that, man, with what you're saying. Yeah. All right, guys, it's about that time for me to break forth and go out into the world for my morning Mountain Dew at Circle K. So I got to get that out of the way so I can get some work done today. Hopefully you all enjoyed the show today. If you haven't yet subscribed to Lions Talk Live, please consider doing so, making that final push before Saturday to hit 4,800, and then the race is on to get to 5,000. Also, don't be afraid to hit that thumbs up button if you would, please. Take care. Enjoy your day. If there is some breaking news later in the day, I'll try to hop on with it. Enjoy your day, everybody. Take care.